you're listening to Food Rebels and welcome. This is the podcast that brings you brands, chefs and live on-air tastings. A show that's dedicated to the more rebellious side of the food world where we celebrate the people who have challenged the status quo. We'll be giving you a peek behind the curtains and inside the minds of the people who are shaking up our food industry. You know me, I'm the show host, AJ Sharp, taste expert, food writer, great taste food judge and of course business owner. I love meeting new people and tasting new foods. So, sit back as we hear more stories from people in food who dare to be different. Well, today on Food Rebels, we have the ultimate rebel. This is Hannah Brown from Peat'd, who set her business up officially only 6 weeks ago. Is that right, Hannah?
That's right, AJ. 6 weeks old today.
That's incredible. Tell me what Peat'd is.
So Peat'd is the world's only peat-smoked range of tomato sauces. So we initially tell people it's a pasta sauce because everyone can picture what you do with a pasta sauce, but actually it's completely versatile, and the inclusion of peat smoke means that you can make any dish taste richer, deeper and more complex instantly.
That is incredible. Why peat? I mean, peat, is that the stuff that I'm thinking Scotland and being on the West Coast and burning like little peat logs on things? Is it the same stuff?
Yeah, you're spot on. Essentially, peat is smoky mud. A lot of the technical people would shout at me for describing it like that, but that's how I always describe it to people. And when you light it, it lets off the most unique aroma that makes things taste richer, deeper and more complex. So it's a bit like Mother Nature's secret ingredient that only the whiskey guys use up until now.
Amazing. Yeah, because you get peat-smoked whiskies, don't you? On the is it the west coast of Scotland? You get those really peaty, like Isla, I seem to remember. My husband really drinks loads of whiskey. I'm not much of a whiskey drinker, maybe a Speyside. But the Isla whiskies are really peaty, aren't they?
They are, but do you know the interesting thing that a lot of people don't realise, including myself up until a few years ago, is Scotland has peat all over the country, but it's a bit like terroir where you get with wine and champagne of where you go in Scotland, the taste of the peat differs. So if you were to smoke peat from the Highlands, it's a bit more sweeter, heather, floral, whereas we smoke peat from Isla, which is surrounded by the Atlantic Sea. So you get this beautiful savoury note coming through. So it's literally our version of terroir.
That is amazing. So you used to work in whiskey then? Is that right?
Spot on. I spent 12 years working in whiskey and I was lucky enough to work on peated whiskies and unpeated whiskies. And it always amazed me that people either love or hate peat. It's a Marmite, a bit like you either like smoked cheese or smoked bacon or you don't. But I thought the smoking process using peat just adds such a different dimension. I thought, why is it only the whiskey guys using it? Which is what sparked the initial light bulb all those years ago.
That's such a good idea because it is such a distinctive flavour, isn't it? And if you like those lovely smoky flavours, which I do happen to, it adds loads to your cooking and to different things. That's amazing. So the actual range, how did you come to, where did the tomatoes come? Like, how did it all start? Where did you have this moment?
So while we're only 6 weeks old, we're actually 8 years old. It's been a long journey. I first had the idea for a peat-smoked tomato juice back in 2017 when I saw bartenders really struggling to make a flavoursome Bloody Mary with a carton of tomato juice. And I thought, what if we were to replicate the whiskey making process, but instead of peat smoking malt, we peat smoked tomatoes? And I thought this was such a wonderful idea that I quit my job overnight on it. And I started developing the recipe, the label, how I would sell it. And then when I actually left, because I was on a 6-month notice period, when I actually left, I then started phoning bottlers to ask if they could make this smoky juice. And the 30 contract bottlers in the UK all put the phone down on me. They almost laughed me out the building because they did not want to make a smoky, thick, small batch, hard to blend tomato juice. So actually I faced going back to my job with my tail between my legs, or actually I could tackle the problem head on. So I paused the launch of the juice and set up a factory called the Startup Drinks Lab, which was for people like me, entrepreneurs that had an innovative idea that they needed somewhere to produce, but there wasn't currently the facilities for it. So we ran that for a number of years. And then in 2021, I thought, wow, a factory is all consuming. I am not getting a chance to launch this juice. So I took a step back from the factory, launched the juice in 2021. And on the positive, what was happening was we won 3 Great Taste Awards. The media called us the UK's best Bloody Mary mixer. And we began exporting to Dubai and the US, and we got into bars in London. The downside is we were selling almost nothing. And that's because Bloody Marys is such a niche category, and we were a niche of a niche, which Business 101, check your market size. I did not do that, but we got this tiny insight that a lot of people were cooking with us more than drinking us. So if you like a Bloody Mary, you probably have 2 a year, and that's Christmas Day and when you're on a flight. Whereas you have 2 pasta dishes a week. And we thought, light bulb number 2. So we thought, let's pause the Bloody Mary business, but take this award-winning recipe that we have and this idea. And we've just spent the last 12 months flipping our entire business. And 6 weeks ago, we launched Peat'd, which is a range of peat-smoked tomato sauces for cooking.
That's amazing. I love that they come from this birthplace of a Bloody Mary. What is it? Tomato juice and vodka and celery salt and Tabasco sauce and Worcestershire sauce. And you're right. Those 2 occasions, Christmas Day. I mean, sometimes if you're staying with somebody quite posh, they might offer you one with breakfast. Not very often, though. But that's amazing. What an incredible transition. Do you still run the Startup Drinks Lab on the side? Is that, you said you took a step back. Is it still one of your babies that you're juggling?
It'll always be one of my babies. I've taken a big step back, and there's a team in running it. It's doing really well, and it's helping so many entrepreneurs every day. But I quickly realised I couldn't run the business, the factory, and give it the time it deserved, and also do the food and drink businesses, and also look after 2 little sprogs. So I thought something has to go. So the Drinks Lab is in very capable hands with another team. But I'm still a minor shareholder.
I sometimes think the universe has this incredible way, doesn't it, of just making decisions on your behalf, or kind of forcing you to make a decision to give yourself the time to do the thing that's the thing you're supposed to be doing. This is incredible. You very kindly sent me some samples of your Peat'd collection. And I can see I've got this beautiful pink label with yellow writing, which, as you know from Food Rebels, my favourite colour combination. That's the chili one. There's also a garlic one in a green label, original in red, and truffle in blue. Where do you source all the different ingredients for these?
So the original, the red ones, that's essentially our Bloody Mary recipe without the vodka. But then every other flavour, we've taken something and built on that original flavour. So with the garlic, it's fresh garlic and basil. With the chili, we actually took our inspiration from Texas, all their Tex-Mex food. So we've got 2 different types of chili, so red and green. And then in the truffle, that's where we have 2 different types of black truffle. So black truffle dust, which always makes me think of fairies. I don't know why. And then minced black truffle.
So where should I start? I'm dying to taste them. The smell, the aroma of like beautiful smoke and kind of paprika and lots of different aromas have just burst into the studio here. Where should I start? Original?
Absolutely. So let's go with original, because that's where you can see the base that every other flavour is based on. So there's 13 different ingredients in the sauce you're taking, and they're all either smoked or spiced.
Wow. What an incredible flavour. I mean, I realise you're not supposed to dip your spoon in and just eat it straight out of the jar, as I'm doing. You are supposed to, put this over your pasta. But the amount of flavours that just burst into my mouth, it's really complex and interesting, and there's so many different things going on there. So tell me, what are all the different flavours that you've put in? What are all the different ingredients?
So it's really interesting. Those multiple layers of flavour you're getting, 50% of that is the peat smoke and 50% is those other 13 ingredients. So there's no nasties. It's all fresh ingredients. It's vegan, dairy-free, gluten-free. And essentially you have tomatoes, which we peat smoke in our traditional smokehouse in Glasgow. But then you have smoked paprika, smoked salt, smoked water. We have dried onion. We've really kind of blended together everything that we know builds to this flavoursome mouthfeel.
That's amazing. So many different flavours going on there. I'm going to go for, should I go garlic next?
I would go garlic next, because you'll start to lose your taste buds when you go on fire with chilli. And then truffle is obviously such a particular taste. So I would go garlic. So this is our nod to the nonnas out there and all the Italians who make those beautiful Italian meals. So you've got a blend of basil and garlic building on top of the original you've just tasted.
This is definitely giving me like melanzane parmigiana kind of vibes, that lovely kind of garlicky, rich tomato. And the smoke just adds this body, doesn't it? And a real finish. The length on this is insane.
Do you know, we've had quite a lot of people, and you can see from our website, we've worked with people that have really looked at this beyond pasta, and they've got like pizza bases, soups, etc. And the garlic always features as probably one of the most versatile because it really brings out those Italian flavours that we all love.
I can see that. I can see there's so many different things I could use that for that would really just zhuzh it up massively. Even just putting a spoon in your bolognese or something, I imagine would give it a whole flavour profile that would just make it really sing so much more. So how much would you use in a jar? Is this a sort of put a dollop in, or is it a kind of, do you literally like pour the whole lot in?
That is a great question, and one we've been asked a lot over the 6 weeks. Not to be too vague about it, but it depends what you're making. I would say 9 times out of 10 you'd get away with half a jar because it is so intensely flavoured. Now, if you were making a bolognese for 4 or 5 people, I would recommend you actually use the full jar just due to volume. But certainly most recipes, if you're making it for 2 people, you would get 2 jars out of it comfortably.
Yeah.
Because it's in between a paste and a sauce due to the concentration of the peat.
Yeah, it feels like that. It feels like the flavour's intense, but it's not crazy intense. It's not like trying to eat kind of concentrated tomato paste or something. It is, there's more going on. All right, I'm going to dive in and try this truffle one now. There's a lot of truffle notes on the nose, aren't there?
So there's the 2 different types of truffle in there. And one of the recipes that is still my favourite that was created was a truffle tomato soup. So a lovely creamy soup. Yeah, exactly. A creamy truffle tomato soup with croutons that have baked parmesan on top of them. So a real winter warmer.
Is that one of your recipes?
No, because I am a terrible cook.
Oh, you?
Which is the irony. So therefore, I have to rely on other people who are much better cooks. And that's where we send the jars out to people and we encourage them to send in their recipes. And the imagination from people is, we've never had a recipe. We've got a bank of 60 recipes now. No one recipe is the same. It's amazing.
Wow. And is that on your website? Can we go on and borrow those?
Please do. So we've got as far as uploading 10, but before Christmas, the remaining 50 will all be uploaded, and you can filter by if you're maybe vegan, vegetarian, what type of meat you like, what flavour of sauce you have, how much time you've got to cook. So we make it easy to delve through all our bank of recipes.
That's brilliant. I must try this last chili one because the aroma's much more paprika and obviously those chili notes on this one.
Yes, you've got some red and green chilies in there, and we shared that with the Great Taste judges, and that picked up a Great Taste award.
Did it? Oh, wow. Yeah, it's lovely. It's got a real, I think the peat is the winner, isn't it, every time, but particularly on that chili one, you get peat before you get this sort of warm, growing sort of heat from the chili, but it comes in quite gently. I've still got heat in my mouth now, but it's not unpleasant. It's not too much. It's a lovely, well-judged level. And then there's all the sweetness as well from the tomato and other, I've got onion and hints of all sorts of things going on. That's really delicious.
Yeah, we think you could have a lot of fun with that if you're making a Tex-Mex dish. So say nachos or enchiladas, it actually does a lot of the hard work for you.
So how would you use it with nachos? Is that where you'd kind of pour it over the top?
Yeah, you could use it as your salsa, because a lot of people are actually talking about they use it as a dip as well. So you could have a dip with your tortilla chips, or you could pour it over with your guacamole and sour cream, or even if you were adding chicken, you could marinate the chicken in it. So there's a lot of ways to weave it in subtly into any Tex-Mex dish.
Wow. Yeah, it's almost a, ketchup replacement. So I've opened all these jars now. How long have I got till I have to use them up?
So because it's all fresh ingredients, you have 3 days in the fridge. So I would pop them
3
into
days
the
in
fridge.
the fridge?
Yep, and you'll be absolutely fine. Whereas if you were to get them unopened, then they would be able to stay in your cupboard for a year. So they're ambient. It's just the minute you open them, you want to pop them in the fridge.
Yeah, well, that's fair enough, isn't it? That's amazing. I mean, that's the same with pretty much all sauces, I think, isn't it?
Exactly, especially if they use fresh ingredients. And what we've had a bit of fun with is when we first came up with this idea, we walked up and down the pasta sauce aisle in the supermarkets, and we saw that most sauce brands were Italian. whether it's your kind of entry-level price ones right up to your luxury ones. And we thought, well, we're not Italian, as you can tell from my voice, we're Glaswegian. And we thought, let's give the sauce category a bit of a shake-up. Let's be bold, contemporary, disruptive. Let's use our peat smoke, but also, as you'll see from the labels, it's bright, bold colours, because we can't claim we're Italian. We have no Italian provenance, despite trying to find it. So we're this different Scottish Italian sauce using our peat smoke, and we're just out to have a bit of fun.
It's great, and they're really bold, beautiful labels. I really like the design of them. I think whoever put that together did a great job. It's a really fascinating sauce, because when you think of tomato sauce on your pasta, you don't really think much beyond tomato and basil, and then you zhuzh it up yourself at home. But this is offering to really do a lot of that for you, isn't it? It's making things much more interesting, much more exciting. It's a bit more grown up, I think. I was just wondering if my kids will eat this. They'll definitely eat the original, but I think some of the other, and probably the garlic, but I reckon truffle and chili is going to be a little bit too grown up for them. But I like that. That could be ours then.
It can, and you could easily add in some passata or something else to slightly tone down the peat for kids. But we often were asked, I say often, in the past 6 weeks, we've been asked by people who say we don't like to use sauces out of a jar. We like to cook from scratch. And I completely agree. Peat smoke is something you would really struggle to add in yourself. So actually, please do cook from scratch, but we can give you a helping hand by just using a fraction of the jar to get those richer aromas. So it hopefully keeps a number of people happy. But we're out here to give a bit of a cooking hack to the home chefs that can happen instantly.
Is it so I'm just wondering about how you're making it. Have you got your own factory then? Are you guys literally on the factory floor, or have you found someone to help you with that?
It's a bit of both. So with the drinks lab, we were on the factory floor making drinks, but the drinks lab is set up for drinks and not for food. So while we have our own traditional smokehouse, and I'm actually just away there shortly after this, we will smoke ourselves, and we are on that smokehouse floor doing all the smoking. But we've found this wonderful business in Cornwall that make all artisanal foods. So they have actually kindly started helping us make Peat'd. So it's a partnership that straddles the country.
Oh, that's brilliant. That really is, isn't it? North to south. That's fantastic. So, I mean, you've overcome a lot of different kind of setbacks and learnings. And how do you take the feedback and things? I find, with successful entrepreneurs, and I definitely count you as one of these, where you're already on your kind of third or however many businesses. How do you handle setbacks?
Without trying to sound corny, I genuinely believe with every setback comes an opportunity. So every one of my businesses has come from a setback. So with Tongue and Peat, I spotted bartenders were struggling with tomato juice, and I thought, we can help them. And then when we tried to launch that, nobody would bottle it. And I thought, well, it's not just me that's in this position. There's other entrepreneurs that can't get their innovative ideas launched. So that came the opportunity for the Drinks Lab. And then when Tongue and Peat was winning awards for its taste, but certainly not winning awards for its number of sales, I thought, well, there's an opportunity in people cooking it, because people tend to have a couple of pasta dishes a week, but they have the 2 Bloody Marys a year. So let's flip the business. So I strongly believe that with every problem comes an opportunity. And that's what we've tried to do. And even just recently, there is a lot of negativity around the use of peat. So we were looking at ways that for every jar we sell, could we give money back to peatland regeneration? There unfortunately was no official scheme that was available. So I've set up a scheme, and in the past year have been lucky enough to bring on 9 distillers that use peat, that are all small to medium-sized businesses, but they also want to give back. So what we've done is we're forming a trust, and we're going to go out and donate a percentage of our sales with the support of the Scottish Government to small crofters who we can teach them how to cut and regenerate peat efficiently. And the hope is overall we'll have given back more peat than any of us have taken. So again, wherever I find there's been a challenge, there's always an opportunity to make things better, as corny as that sounds.
That's amazing. So whilst you're juggling several businesses and 2 small children, you're like, I'm just going to quickly set up a kind of charity at the same time. That's amazing. I can see what you're saying. It's because peat needs to be regenerated, just like the soil does, just like so many of our different natural resources in the UK and across the whole world. We are really looking to make sure, whether you use wood or plastic or paper or whatever it is, you've got to keep that sustainability in mind, haven't you? And longevity.
Yeah, absolutely. And so often it's actually about education. So for us, the fund that we'll create will help small crofters cut peat responsibly. So not use drills, use traditional toolings, don't cut too deep that it can't regrow. And actually, if an area of peatland has never been cut, let's not cut it. So it's actually an educational piece, but quite often you need funds and money to help those smaller crofters be able to do that regeneration. And you're right, I believe it goes way beyond making profit. In the last 10 years, it's about purpose. What are you put on this earth to do? And our purpose is very much to create great tasting food at home, but also give back to the land. And that's what the small team at Peat'd, what we strongly believe in.
That's amazing. You just said regrowing the peat. I am sorry, woefully don't know very much about peat. I didn't know it grew. I thought it sort of came about through being impacted.
No, you are partly right. Peat can regenerate itself, but it takes, and this is where a lot of the concern about peat cutting comes from, is it takes such a long time to regenerate, shall we say. So every time you cut some peat, if you were to leave it, then it gets exposed to the weathers, the waters, etc. And over time, it will start to regenerate. And that is what our trust is all about, is how can we help that peat regenerate at all, but also regenerate quicker.
Yeah, amazing. What else is peat used for? So you use it in whisky making, you use it, for what you guys use. What else is it used for?
So it's not used like this anymore for the reasons that I spoke about. But, even when I was younger, it was used on peat fires. So people would use it as a fuel source in their home, particularly if you walked into any home in the Highlands or Islands in Scotland, you got this amazing smell of peat because people would use it alongside coal and wood on traditional fires. And then it was also used by garden centres as a compost, but there's been an outright ban on that. So the uses of, due to the volumes it was used in, are now not allowed, but there has been permission for the whisky industry to use it, because of the completely unique taste it gives, but also the whisky industry as a whole actually uses such a small amount. That's why we thought if we can regenerate it, everything ends up in hopefully a better place.
Yeah, so use less, but use it better. Use it for more useful things. Don't just burn it or put it in your garden. Yeah, that makes complete sense. Amazing. So you've got these 4 flavours of your beautiful peated range. Is there plans for more flavours, or is it all about getting this to as many people as possible and selling it as far and wide as possible at this point?
I think the danger of being an entrepreneur is you're always looking for that. Your mind naturally thinks of what else we can do. So even as we were developing the range, we have deliberately called it a name. That means that we could go into peat-smoked other things to do with food.
Yes.
But what we are trying to do is there's less than 5 of us that work in the team. We are going to try and get as many people as we can, particularly the UK, to taste Peat'd, and then fight every urge to innovate for a period of time, not committing to what that period is. But then I think because we have our own smokehouse and we've got this amazing producer down in Cornwall, I think we could start to have some fun in the next 18 months about, well, maybe is there some seasoning, or what else can we do when everything comes back to how do we give home chefs an easy, quick cooking hack? So we can have a lot of fun with that. But yes, I think we will innovate again in the medium future.
Amazing. I can see peated salt or peated chili oils, or loads of those kind of cooked condiments that really, it would add so much body and flavour.
Yeah, that's exactly what we thought. And certainly when we were designing the packaging and designing the brand name, we have this wonderful one-man band designer who has his own studio, and he's actually a very strategic designer, and he spent a lot of time up front thinking about how do I design this packaging so that we can do line extensions.
Yeah, really good idea. There's so many different things. I mean, my marketing brain is already having you collab with charcuterie and cheese and everything. That's incredible. So where can we buy this?
So due to the fact we're 6 weeks old, currently it's on our website, peat'd.com, which is peatd.com. But we hope, due to some good conversations we're having at the moment, that from next year we'll be in delis, farm shops, garden centres. That's our hope. And then who knows, maybe next year there might be a supermarket that may take us on. But for now, it's going to be our own page, and we actually deliver for free, and we offer gift notes if you want to gift somebody a nice little taste for Christmas. And then hopefully by early December, we might even be on Amazon.
Amazing. I mean, it is a beautiful box. I'm just going to show this. So I was very lucky to be sent 4 of these, and it comes in the most beautiful box. It says Vine Dining on the top. And it's just really fun, and it's just light and fun, isn't it? Can you see that? With all the different jars here. It's a beautiful. We dig deeper on taste. The rich smoky taste in our sauces comes from peat. It's beautiful.
We actually took every learning we had from all our businesses. So we are very good at doing things wrong the first time. And what we've done with Peat'd is be like, okay, what have we not got right in the past? And let's try and fix it for this business. And something we never had right was free delivery, because people, when people are buying an artisan or luxury product, it doesn't sit well when you get to the checkout and you've got a delivery fee there. But also the packaging, people like that experience of when they open something and they feel it's all part of that experience, rather than just getting some jars wrapped up in some cardboard. But also we know that people like to gift food and drink direct to people's home. So we thought, right, Peat'd is one for yourself, but it's also one you can share with friends. So let's put the time and effort into these. So anyone that orders from our website will get one of those beautiful gift boxes. They will not pay for delivery. And actually, if they want to give a gift, we'll also put in a complimentary gift note for them so that they can just send it straight to their friend or loved one's home. So that's why I'm really glad you picked up on that, because we thought long and hard about let's right the wrongs that we've made in the past.
I love it. I think that's a really good idea. And what a great gift. We're coming up towards Christmas now. What a great gift for somebody who's really foodie and you don't quite know what to get them, but they like something that's a little bit different, a little bit unusual. I think that could go down really, really well. Producer Georgie sent me a note to say you've done a discount code, haven't you?
We have indeed. There is a special discount code just for your listeners, and it's 10% off. So all they do is enter in 10% off for Food Rebels onto our website, and that will automatically be discounted.
That's brilliant. And that is at www.peatd.com.
Spot on.
Fantastic. Hannah, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Absolutely lovely to hear your story and hear this incredible business. I think it's one to watch for sure.
Thank you very much, AJ. It was a real honour to be able to come on.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening. You've been listening to Food Rebels, which is available on radio stations around the UK and further afield. You can also listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify and Audible. Please remember to subscribe and rate us with 5 stars or follow us. It makes such a difference, not just to our podcast and radio show, but it really helps to support the guests that come on the show with us. We're also on Instagram at food_rebels. So give us a follow, do get in touch. We love hearing from you and let us know what you think. Thanks so much for joining us, and make sure you taste the rebellion.